Yeah, you mentioned League isn't black and white. Do you feel like it's 50 Shades of Grey or is it a rainbow? Which one is it closer? If it was a Venn diagram, which one is closer?
Certainly not 50 Shades of Grey, unless the new RE skin is going to change that.
Okay, well, I'll monitor the situation very closely. So we're joined by Bwipo on the FlyQuest Media Day. So Bwipo, my first question is, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Unfortunately, we were blessed with BB Warwick, and there's also Myrwynn at this tournament.
Okay.
So do you ever feel like these guys are team-up versions of yourself, or do you feel like everyone's their own person?
I feel like they're their own person. I don't play Warwick, so I mean everyone has their own.
I mean that is fair, but I think when I think of you, I think of someone who like plays these really niche kind of pocket picks almost.
Sure. I mean, maybe I did pave the way. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think it's a good strategy, and I respect people for trying. I mean, even if it looks a little bit ugly, I've had my moments. So I have to be honest. I've played champions where I have a unique pick, and it just doesn't work out the way I want to. So. That's part of the competition. That's a part of the risk you take, right?
Yeah, I think most fans at the end of the day will always appreciate pros trying new stuff rather than losing on meta.
Yeah.
Do you have any like advice for the Warwick Aatrox matchup? Have you played the Aatrox side perhaps?
I guess my advice would be is the matchup is not as good as it looks.
For Warwick or for?
For Warwick, yeah. Like I wouldn't kind of pick Warwick. I feel like there's better champions in the meta you could pick Warwick into. So especially in Fearless, I feel like you could prepare something else for Aatrox and it would make more sense. Not to say that you can't play Warwick in like you can definitely play Warwick in Aatrox and have success. It's not bad. I just think it's like. I think he does better into Gwen, for example.
Okay.
And already, like, you're just probably going to see that champion in draft if you want to open that champion and let the enemy play it. So that's already a matchup that I would be looking into. So I think in terms of like strategy there, like the matchup can definitely go south. Whereas I feel like Gwen Warwick is like it's a lot harder for it to go south because you do just stat checker the whole game. But I mean, I don't know tips. I don't know dodges cues like usually,
Yeah, try not to take too much damage and die. That usually helps.
Yeah, I think he was just probably. I think. If I had to put my finger on it, I'm guessing that he was used to playing barrier and solo queue and like in practice.
Yeah.
And then he went on stage and he's like, I guess I have to play TP because it's a competitive game.
Yeah,
And then he was playing as if he had barrier. And then
that's kind of what I felt like as well.
He got smoked. So
yeah,
happens.
So we're looking at FlyQuest both trophies that have been off the back of some really interesting backdoors. Should I be more worried about FlyQuest MSI or more excited that we will be entertained no matter what?
I definitely think the latter for me personally. I mean, I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I mean, you guys are watching this. The fans at home are watching for exciting matches. Winning is important, but winning is not everything. Is what I've come to realize. I want to make sure that we play really well, and again, we make it exciting for people to watch. I think at the end of the day, if we win, we get more matches. So there's more to watch. So we want to win, and I want to win.
Everyone wants to win, yeah.
I want to make sure it was worth your time. Because. Following a best of 5, watching a whole series, it's almost minimum of 2 to 3 hour investment, assuming it's a quick one, right? Once it goes to games 4 and 5, like you're spending 5 hours of your day. I want to make sure that everyone watching feels like it was time well spent.
Yeah, obviously when you guys won on stage, the emotions were really high. Everyone was super excited. But after the adrenaline kind of wore off, were there any really big takeaways on the day? Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys had things to improve on, but was there any like really big glaring conclusions for you guys after the emotions settled down?
I mean, for me personally, I just felt like we won because we were like 5 individually better players, and we were like, just a little bit more creative, a little bit more clutch in team fights. Like, it was a close best of 5, obviously. Like, it really was. But like, for example, game 3, we were down like 20 kills, and it was still a very free win because I feel like we were having a much better comp, and we were, I still think, better players. So for me, it was like a big learning there is like we gotta like reel it in and make sure that as a team we play a slow and like controlled game in those kind of situations, and that we as a team help calm each other down so that we don't take fights that are unnecessary.
Yeah, and obviously with the new format in terms of LTA, we are introduced to a few times a year where you guys play cross-conference gameplay. And we've seen FURIA take both GAM and G2 to 5 games, and it never felt like you really count these guys out. I think one thing I really like about them is how kind of skirmishy they are.
Yeah.
So do you have any major takeaways? You get to watch the series. Do you have any takeaways for the future in terms of you guys playing them maybe in the LTA cross-conference?
I didn't get to watch all the games super closely because I was traveling and then I was practicing. So I didn't watch all the games closely. I watched highlights. I watched some of the games. The main takeaway that I found is that I felt like whenever they had a big lead on someone, I didn't feel like the game was truly revolving around that player. There were still openings to be had in other places. And I feel like that's a hallmark of a bit of an inexperienced team under high pressure. Because if you can clamp the game down and make the enemy team fight around that guy, that's when you're going to win like almost every time. So I feel like if they can clean that up, they'll definitely be a really strong team.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because when I was talking to ThinkCard, he mentioned how you guys are kind of the poster child or like the kind of golden boy of the LCS or LTA in terms of
Sure.
who to look at in terms of how to practice, how to go about things. And I asked them if they felt like Furia was at for LTA South, and they said that was the case.
Yeah, sure.
But we didn't really see them play up to that mark. So I mean, do you, based on what you may have seen through highlights, do you feel like there's a team to beat from the South?
I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like they did do pretty well, all things considered. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you have to set expectations for the fact that we have LTA North, LTA South. Like, I think what a lot of people underestimate is that like League of Legends isn't black and white.
Yeah.
Based on your prep, based on like your meta read, based on whatever, like every team can come in with a different perspective. Like even the same team can change from 1 week to the second week. And we've all seen World
Yeah.
Week 2s. This is going to happen on MSI too. Like you can show up and you can play a stinker of a match and then clean your shit up and fix it, right? There's so many variables. There's draft, there's player performance, there's player preference, player comfort.
Yeah.
These are all things you need to be considering when you're like looking at things. And I feel like playing 2 best of 5s back to back to game 5 is definitely an improvement over what you would expect from the Brazilian region usually. And I feel like it was an impressive showing. I don't think they have anything to be sad about. I think they obviously can be sad about the fact that they didn't make it and it was close and it was very winnable. But that's how it starts, Like we played Gen G, it was very winnable. We lost.
Yeah.
But people were still hopeful, and I think that that's what matters. Like now you got to just buckle up, do whatever it is that got you there and got you this close. Do it again for summer, and then come back for Worlds.
Yeah, you mentioned League isn't black and white. Do you feel like it's 50 Shades of Grey or is it a rainbow? Which one is it closer? If it was a Venn diagram, which one is closer?
Certainly not 50 Shades of Grey, unless the new Ari skin is going to change that.
Okay. Well, I'll monitor the situation very closely.
No, I mean, it's like what I'm trying to say is basically like, just because a team, like for example, like people would, where I saw people saying C9 would do better, C9 would have qualified, C9 blah blah blah. It's just not necessarily the case. Like if G2's prep against C9 would be better because they have players that are more suited to countering like C9 strategy, then it would not be the case. Like for example, I couldn't imagine a world where a team like C9 would have a good time playing against Caps, for example. That guy loves throwing wrenches into people's gameplay patterns, and he loves being like a little bit extra, plays on the edge. C9 is a team that will take any fight. I could see them running down and losing the game for free, 3-0, like on cooldown, trying to kill Caps for no reason.
Kind of beating themselves up.
Yeah, like they just get baited by like anything. And in a stressful situation like MSI, I could 100% see their jungler especially just completely sprint down the game, trying to kill Caps when he had no business trying to. And then what? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that they couldn't have made a G2 C9 series closer.
Yeah.
I just find that just looking a little bit at player tendencies, I have already identified a way that G2 could make a C9 series much easier to win
for them. Yeah.
For them. And that's what I'm trying to say is like every team has their strengths, every team has their weaknesses. It's also meta. It's also a huge part of it, like how good people are on the meta and like what the comfort is. And also like I mean BB just had a really bad day, right? Like he was getting owned. So is that going to happen 2 days in a row, right?
Who knows?
Maybe not, right? Yeah. So we'll see tonight. We'll see if we'll see.
I mean, you mentioned a lot about strengths and weaknesses. I feel like whenever it comes time to an international, we see the Cardinal Sin occur. People make tier lists. And we've seen all kinds of tier lists. We've seen FlyQuest players pretty high up. We've seen them very low. So what are your thoughts on like ranking players? Because I feel like there's so many variables when it comes to MSI. You mentioned player comfort, experience. Right. I feel like tier lists are always so hard to make before a tournament, especially player individual ones.
I mean, this is just clickbait, right? Like you just make a tier list to like make people click on it and like you rage bait a bit. Like,
is it based?
I mean, I think it's funny. Like, I don't mind. As for like tier lists, I don't know. I don't really worry about it. I just play my own game, and at the end of the day, every player has strengths, every player has weaknesses, and you just got to understand like this guy is going to fall for this kind of like this guy is going to be like in a tough spot in this kind of situation. But most importantly is I think you got to set a standard of like this is the baseline gameplay that is expected from me if I want to have a good performance. This is what we need as a team for us to have a good game, or like not even a good game, just a standard game of League of Legends. This is what I need to be able to put out. The next step is figuring out which matchups you draft for that. So my opinions on tier list are they're useless because it depends on the matchup.
Yeah.
Like for example, like you put Bin Jax in a good matchup, like the guy's obviously the best top player in the tournament. But you put that guy in a situation that he's not used playing, he's probably going to be top 4 or something, you know?
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Like that's what I'm saying. Like your tier list swaps as soon as the draft starts.
For sure, yeah.
Because based on what's locked in, a certain player will have an insane performance or a mediocre performance. Like if you give me a good matchup, you know, on Renekton, for example, like you could potentially put me in top 2 or top 1 even.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what I'm really good at. So they're not useless. I think you're just rating expected value over the course of a best of 5 against each other, right? But I just think it's important to distinguish that. And as a competitor, the reason why I don't care about tier lists is because I want to throw that guy off what he's really good at.
Yeah, you don't play into the cards.
Exactly. Playing matchups that I'm confident in, I know how to handle.
Yeah, you mentioned Caps and obviously Ben as well. Is there any other players that really impress you or have your respect? Or maybe any players who you're hoping earn your respect at this? Because there's a couple, younger players. Obviously, there's Jojo Pyun, who I'm a big fan of. Is there any other players, have your respect?
Yeah, of course. Everyone that makes it to an international gets my respect, bro. Like, the only time I would lose respect if we scrim a lot, and I'm like, well, that guy's dog shit. Then maybe, but unfortunately, it hasn't happened. Never actually had an international, and I think that's important. Like, you gotta understand, like, just how based on someone's behavior in scrims, that doesn't make a player bad. Hell, you can have a bad game on stage. Like, for example, G2 BB had a really bad best of 5. Let's say he has another bad best of 5, and then they qualify anyway because his team carries him. If we play G2 and I roll into that best of 5 with the idea that this guy's dog shit, he just played 2 shit best of 5, he might smoke me.
Get cocky and
there's no like. What I'm trying to say is I respect everyone. There's obviously outliers. Like I mentioned Caps because he's the best player on their team. I mentioned Bin because on Jax he's the best player on their team. I don't scout enough to actually like really like thingy, but I guess I like to play Flandre and I like to earn his respect. I was on a talk show like earlier this year.
Oh, I remember that one.
That's the first time I really got to interact with him, and I liked him. He was cool, so I'd like to play against him and see how it goes.
Do you feel like we could use more content? Because I feel like when it comes to LPL content, it's very much on an island. We don't really see much English people over there and vice versa. Do you feel like we could benefit from a lot more cross-regional content?
I think it would be awesome, but it's hard to do because you speak different languages.
That is true, yeah. You kind of need a translator no matter what. Thank you so much for your time, Bwipo.
Appreciate it.